Hi, this is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6 Delta Alpha Yankee, and let's see if we can guess what we're talking about today. That's right, speaker mics. We're going to be talking about kind of a real general overview. This video serves as an introduction to a series of videos that I'm going to be doing where I take a little bit closer look at speaker mics by make, model, and plug type. Now, in all the time that I've been on YouTube, both as an end user of radio videos and as a content provider of radio videos, astonishingly, I really have never encountered anybody that's taken a real deep drill down on speaker mics as a particular accessory. They get talked about sometimes in terms of radio reviews. I myself have talked about them just in passing as available accessories for radios, but I've never really taken the time to just say, let's just look at the speaker mic and let's see if we can get a determination on how well it sounds on receive, how well it sounds on transmit, whether or not it's weather resistant, whether or not it has an accessory port for an earpiece, how well the switch situation works, how the general condition of the cable. There's a lot that really goes into this rather than just taking the approach of, well, it's a speaker mic and it's $9, so that'll do. Now that'll do from a recreational standpoint. That's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with taking something like a $27 Baofeng UV5R and then plugging a $9 Baofeng speaker mic into it. Again, from a purely recreational standpoint, if you're running one of these in a car on a trip and you threw it in the cup holder, a speaker mic attached to this is a particularly useful accessory. You don't have to keep picking the radio up, especially if you're using a mag mount antenna. You've got all that cable you have to drag up to your face. You get the antenna bumping. Well, actually, in that case, it wouldn't be the antenna because you've got a mag mount. But again, you're dragging all this stuff across in front of your face while you're trying to drive. You don't want to do that. A speaker mic is pretty darn handy. You can even clip it to your seatbelt as it goes across your chest and gives you a pretty convenient way to talk on a trip. That's one purely recreational use of a speaker mic. However, this channel we're not really focused on recreational use products. What we're focused on is products that are built for kind of more serious purposes and used for more serious purposes, such as search and rescue, IMCOM in general, or that undercover good guy stuff that comes up every now and again. So when we're talking about speaker mics, we're talking about speaker mics that are going to be used probably on some kind of load carrying system. We're talking about speaker mics that are going to be used in inclement weather. We're talking about speaker mics that are going to be used during harsh, rugged conditions, especially if you're search and rescue, doing something like hiking in the mountains. The ability to keep that speaker mic alive throughout the trip and functional throughout the trip is kind of important. So you want to buy a quality piece of equipment for that. But I have nonetheless seen, for instance, in this case, the K-plug, and we'll be talking about these in terms of plug types and stuff going forward. But for instance, speaker mics that work with the K-plug, again, work perfectly well with a Baofeng UV5R, so you can plug a $9 speaker mic into that. But I have seen some people take the for instance, the 10-way microphone here, which is basically the Baofeng microphone with a different set of letters on it. They are otherwise identical, and they are both $9 speaker mics. I have seen these plugged into radios that are actually kind of expensive, good radios that kind of get otherwise sort of ruined by plugging something like that in. In fact, as much as I like the company Ocean, their speaker mic is this microphone, or this speaker mic. All they do is just emboss Ocean on there instead of 10-way or Baofeng. It's a $9 speaker mic that's basically not going to do you any favors. It's not going to sound particularly good, and on either side. You're not going to be able to hear it very well, and people that are listening to you aren't going to be particularly pleased with the fact that you're using that speaker mic. So for a radio like this, if I was using this for an IMCOM situation, this is not what I'm going for. So in order to give you kind of or be able to make a more informed buying decision, what I'm going to be doing is following on this video. I'm going to be, because it would take too long to go over each of these speaker microphones, and besides, this is just a small selection of the speaker mics I actually own. This is the amount that would fit into this space so that I could film it. I could potentially fill this table into end to end and side to side with the speaker mics that I have in my box over here. So I've got a bunch of them, and like I say, some are good, some are bad. So what I'm going to be doing moving forward is break these down into type. For instance, I'll be talking about sort of the K plug in general, which, as I mentioned, the K plug will plug into a UV5R. It'll also plug into, and that's a $27 UV5R. You can plug one of these $9 microphones into that. Or you can plug it into, and we don't know what the price is yet, but it's probably going to be about close to $1,000 TH75 Kenwood. Or you can plug one of these same microphones into an otherwise fine Ocean KG-UV9 pop-up, because they all use that same K plug. But you could also avoid that altogether and go with something like the Kenwood KMC45 Delta, which is much more expensive. This is an $84 speaker microphone, but it does have a K plug. Now, this is kind of probably a more appropriate microphone to be plugging into a radio that you're using for more serious purposes. So we'll be talking about those differences. I'll also be talking about whether or not that's even a good idea to do. Go with that versus something like this, which does the same thing. K-plug also, but this is an aftermarket made by Calm Mountain. And this is an excellent little speaker mic, but it's only $29. So it's a pretty big difference between these two. And if you shop around, you can get these even cheaper. And it does have some weather protection. That's another thing we're going to be looking at too, is the weather protection factors involved with these radios. Because why, you know, a lot of times when we're talking about IMCOM or we're talking about search and rescue, we're talking about working in inclement weather. If you've got a radio, this IP54 or IP67, and I mean IP54 is the minimum. Being rain resistant is the minimum standard for a radio like that. You don't want to take a radio out into those conditions like this that's going to get killed by the rain. Your comms are going to be gone in short order. Why would you do that? At the same time, why would you take a radio that does have weather protection and then put a speaker mic on it that has no weather protection? Your speaker mic is going to die. It's not going to live very long. Or if you use one of these cheap little $9 specials, guarantee you it's not going to last very long, because these just don't last very long. Now, having said that, I will have somebody climb into the comments right away and say, I've been using one of those Baofeng speaker mics on my UV5R for 37 years now, and I've climbed Mount Everest with it, and it's good to go. Well, fantastic. You got a good one. But take a little trip for the Amazon comments section on these specific microphones right here, and you will see a litany of people that report, hey, my microphone, I used it 4 times and it died. It lasted me 2 weeks. It lasted me a week. It lasted me a weekend. If that weekend is particularly rainy and the conditions are particularly crappy, that ain't going to last you very long. Again, don't confuse recreational stuff with stuff that's actually going to get beat up pretty good. You can take a radio and baby it and keep it out of the elements and treat it really nice, and it'll run for a good long time, even a little old Baofeng. You take this thing on a hike and beat around with it. Do a little low crawling with it. Hell, do a little wrestling with somebody with it. This thing is not going to last as long as you think it's going to last. It's going to be crumbled into pieces inside of your pouch. That's why I advocate heavy-duty durable radios that are weather protected, and any peripherals you put onto that, in particular the speaker mic, has to be. Now, I'm not going to say in all cases it has to match, because there are times we're going to have IP67 radios with IP54 microphones, because IP54 is the limit to what we can obtain. For instance, the ICT-10, when I bought mine, it's an IP67 radio. That means it's submersible, 1 meter, 30 minutes. But the problem was the IP67 microphone could not be purchased at the time, and I still can't get my hands on one. But I do have a really nice one that's also Mil Standard 810 ruggedized, but it's also IP54, so this is going to be rain resistant. Now, I guess the good news is IP67 is not as important on the speaker mic, but the connection, it is. And I will be talking a lot more about this particular connection on this particular speaker mic, because when it's plugged in, this may be rain resistant, but this still lets me achieve IP67 rating on my radio. Whereas some radios, just opening up the side port is going to remove any of that weather protection that you might have just plugging in, because this is not gasketed in some cases. In some cases it is. We'll talk more on that when we talk about specific speaker mics, whether or not they allow you to retain your weather protection on the radio. That's an important factor, and I got a pretty good story in this one related to the floods, by the way, that I'll tell probably in my next video. Probably not a lot of people seeking out ICT-10 speaker mics, but the story's good enough that I think it's going to work. So I think that's kind of it for now. Like I said, this is just an intro video. When I get into specifically talking about the speaker mics, we'll be drilling down into intricate detail on all of the features involved with the speaker mic, whether or not they allow you to retain your weather protection radio or rating on your radio, and whether or not they're going to be good in the woods, so to speak. So with that, I think I will go ahead and bring it to a close. Thank you for watching and or listening. And as a reminder, my day job is SpectreGear.com, and if things are going pretty good there, things are going pretty good here, and I have time to make videos like this. So if you're in the market for any tactical gear, any slings for your weapon systems, or pouches for your radios, please visit us at SpectreGear.com. With that, I will thank you again, once again, for watching and or listening. This is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6, Delta Alpha Yankee, from Southwest Visalia, California. Have a wonderful day.